Hey everyone, it's Reese Drew bringing you my guide for Pharah today. I'm going to go over her abilities, some tricks and tips for her, play style, what she's strong against and what she's weak against, and when to play her. And hopefully after all this you'll be able to rain justice from above. Remember, if you enjoy what you see today, a subscribe or a like would be extremely appreciated. And if you have anything to input to the guides and tips for everyone else, please leave a comment down below. Enjoy. Alright, so let's start things off by looking at her abilities. Her primary weapon is the massive rocket launcher that she holds. It's a really powerful weapon, if not slightly difficult to aim, but that difficulty is kind of offset by the fact that you're normally going to be aiming down onto enemies, which is a lot more forgiving. The weapon does 120 damage on a hit, on a direct hit, which is a massive amount of damage. You know, you can kill most enemies in 2 to 3 hits. Some of them you can even just insta kill, like if you're lucky and they're already a little bit damaged, such as Tracer. It has splash damage on it, which is also very important, and this can go from 13 to 80 damage depending how far away they are from the rocket when you fire it. So one thing you need to keep in mind is that it's not always crucial that you hit them directly, and you can kind of aim around them on the floor just so that it's easy to hit, or you can hit more people at once. And then the other thing to remember is that it also can hurt Pharah herself, so you want to be a bit careful if you're slamming it into the floor right under you, because you'll take 40 damage from that, which can be a problem. Okay, so next we have Pharah's shift ability, which is her jump pack, which is arguably the most important and signature move in her kit. It's what defines her as a champion, and it's very important you get to grips with it. I'm going to be going into how to use it and kind of why you use it in the kind of gameplay section of the video, but for now I'll give you a brief overview, which is that the actual shift ability will jump you up into the air. It's fairly high, but not ridiculously high, but you can see from the video roughly how high you jump up when you press it. And then if you don't do anything else, you'll just fall back to the ground. However, you combo this with her kind of jet ability, which is if you hold space or right click, you will be able to hover in the air. There's a little bar that's like a fuel bar on your reticle, which will show you how much is left of that, and when it runs out you will start gliding back to the ground. Note that because of the way it recharges, you never really just plummet, because you can kind of like keep getting tiny bits out of it whilst it's running low, but the main use of it is just to keep you up fully off a jump, so that you can rain your fire down onto the enemies, onto their backline, and past the Reinhardt shield and all that good stuff. We have a E ability, which is Concussive Blast. This ability only does 1 damage, so it's obviously not really used to kill enemies as a direct form of its damage. What it does do, however, is knock anyone, including Pharah herself, away from where the Concussive Blast hits. This is a lot of different utility kind of potential to it, and if you're good and you learn Pharah very well, this will be one of your favourite abilities to use. I'll go into some of these kind of in detail in the tips and tricks section, but as a kind of a spoiler, you can use it to knock enemies off the map, which is really fun, and you can get some pretty easy and simple play of the game, triple, quad kills with it if you manage to get the stars to align in your favour. But there's also many other cool things you can do with it, so I'll go into that later. And lastly, we have her ult. This ult, in my opinion, is one of the iconic ones of the game, along with Mercy's Res and, Reaper's Death Blossom. It's just a swings from above, and I'm sure many of you have heard that and ran away in fear, or looked to the sky in a hope to kill the Pharah before she sets it off. So this ability will make you stationary and stuck in the air, which is a good and a bad thing. On the good side, it means that you're not going to just start falling because you've run out of fuel, but on the bad side, you are sitting duck for snipers or anyone like Roadhog who can just live long enough to hook you out of it. However, the ult does an absolute shit ton of damage. It does 40 per blast. However, when you total it all up, it's 2,500 damage, like roughly. So it shreds everyone who gets hit by it for multiple times. If you hit like a Tracer or a support or like another offense champion, you don't have to hit with many, maybe 5 or 6 blasts from it, but even like Roadhog and Reinhardt, they will get destroyed by this. It has a fairly quick recharge, like charge up time as well. I find if you're in the fight and doing what you meant to be doing and shooting rockets at people, you'll find that it charges pretty quick. Um, but yeah, that's her ultimate. Right, so let's just talk about some brief tips and tricks for Pharah. There's not too many of these, and she's quite a straightforward champion in the sense that you get what you see with her abilities, but there's a few which I'll go over now. So the first one is kind of obvious, but it's the fact that her rockets aren't, they are projectile weapons rather than like raycast weapons, which means that you don't just put your pointer over someone and shoot and it hits. The projectile has to travel and then hit them. So with that in mind, just make sure you lead it on, and obviously the more you play her, the more you'll get used to her projectile speed of the rockets, so that you'll get better at doing this. And along with this tip is a lot of the time, a lot of the time they're going to have people grouped up together, and it's better to just try and hit more of them so that you can get more damage done. Even if you don't end up getting a kill yourself, the team will be on lower health overall. And for a lot of the healers and supports, this is much harder to deal with, except for Lucio, but what can you do? So remember to lead on the rockets and make complete use and advantage of the splash damage that comes with it. Right, so next is, as I spoke about earlier, her E ability. The first one that I spoil is that you can knock enemies off the map. This is really fun, and there's a couple of maps in particular, such as the ruins in Greece and on the China map, that you can get some really sick knockoffs with this. But not just knocking them off, you can also knock them, even not to kill them, but you can knock them off the point. So if you can see they're just about to try and cap it, or they're contesting it, you can just knock them off the map, and this can be a really effective way of securing a point or securing a game. And most importantly is that you can actually manipulate your own position with this E. So you shoot at the ground to get another jump up, so you can get a decent decent ult off. You can use it to push yourself away from a wall. You can use it to push yourself away from a Roadhog or a Reinhardt or someone who's really, ruining your fun. And in general, just try and be creative with the way you use it. It will really set you apart from other players if you can find really good uses for this E. And lastly is the fact that your ult doesn't use any fuel, so you can set yourself up to be in a really good position to use it and not have to worry about falling from the sky. So yeah, those were just a few kind of, like I said, brief tips and tricks for Pharah. She hasn't got too many, but I think they're quite important, because obviously hitting rockets is important, and you'll find her so much of a fun and effective character to play once you get a grip of the E. Right, so next we're going to go into the core of the video, which is her playstyle. As I'm sure you all know, she's an offensive hero, so what this means is that you're looking to get kills around the map to weaken the enemy's ability to stop you from taking or defending the objective. She is playable on attack and defense. I find quite often for payloads, attack is a lot better for her than defense, but on certain maps like King's Row, you can make defense work on certain points in the game. But she's a fantastic attack hero. She's really good, and I think this is kind of her main strength. She's really good at beating enemies out of encroached positions. So let's say they have a Reinhardt set up and he's got a soldier behind it, and then Lucio's jamming out behind the shield as well. Pharah is one of the few heroes who's really quickly and effectively able to kind of break that formation up, even without damaging them. Just by putting a concussive behind them, they'll knock them all apart, and then they become a lot weaker, or just firing as many bullets as possible, or as many rockets as possible into their back, so that they kind of have to notice you and turn around. So she's really good at kind of stopping these defensive, I guess you could use the word formations, from the enemy, so that your team is able to advance onto the objective better. She's also very good for the capture maps where you've got a King of the Hill, because she can knock enemies off the hill, and quite often there's a pit of death near the hill, so she can kill them that way. She kind of has flexibility to fly around the point and deal with anyone, anywhere, anytime, and there's normally also a lot of vantage points overlooking the points in capture the map, especially Greece and Versailles, so you can kind of stay up there and safe away from the enemy. But yeah, overall I think that's one of her strongest uses. So how you achieve this playstyle is that you try and stay airborne as much as possible. You want to try and stay above the enemy team, kind of in line of sight, but not in their sight, if that makes sense, because they should be looking at the Reinhardt and the Soldier and whatever, just charging them down whilst you're above them, firing rockets into them as much as possible, and disrupting like every offensive hero does, but you get an advantage in that you can get over Reinhardt's shield basically, which is one of your strongest things. And certain champions, which I'll get into later, just can't deal with the fact that you're airborne. And Pharah, I think, is one of the most encountered heroes, that makes sense. Like, she forces them to swap to deal with her, otherwise she'll just wreck you. If they have a team of like Mei, Winston, Bastion, Junkrat, that it just can't really do anything about you, and you're gonna have complete control of the skies, and they're gonna really suffer. So yeah, the main way to play her is to stay in the air, try and break up their kind of defensive fortifications, and just get into their team as much as possible to deal as much damage. And that's especially for payloads, and then for capturing the maps, it's just always be pressuring anyone who tries to get onto the objective. And then if you have the objective, it's just to be pressuring them at the spawn. So even if you're not hitting all your rockets, or many of your rockets, it's just they're having to always think about shit, is that rocket when I walk around this corner, or I've got to dodge this rocket now, and you can kind of force them into positions that you like. One of my favourite things to do is, so you have, for instance, on Ruins on Greece, so there's a direct alley down to the capture point, and then there's a flank. Is that with my friends, I'll get my Reaper and my Reinhardt or Roadhog, whatever, to kind of watch the flank, and I'll just fire rockets down that main corridor all day, and they're forced, unless they just want to take their face for the rockets, they go around the side, and then you can catch them unawares and slam them down on the flanks. It's pretty good, and obviously the flip of that is you can get to the flanks to force them to come down the middle so they can't flank your team. But yeah, the only other thing to really talk about in regards to a playstyle is how you use a ult. An ult can be a death trap sometimes because you are absolutely static as you use it, and if they have a Widow who's actually paying attention, or a Hanzo, or a McCree, or anyone like that, they're just gunning you down as you use it. And this really sucks, and I do this quite a lot, not as much as I used to, I'm getting better, but I do it quite a lot where I'll be like, oh shit, I can get a 4-man kill here, and then you're not thinking about the fact that you just leave yourself completely open by doing something like this, and you'll die. Against some teams it's better to just kind of ult near the ground, behind your tanks and stuff, but just keep that in mind. Right, so now we're briefly going to go over the champions you're strong against, weak against, and synergize as well with. So Pharah is very strong against Tracer and Reaper because neither of them can reach you in the air very well with their weapons, so it's only when you come back down to earth briefly that they can have any sort of chance to damage you back. Tracer can be a bit of a bitch to hit, but that's Tracer. But saying that, if you get some hits on her, she has so little health that you really hurt her, and she has to normally has to back off and heal, or just recall instantly if you hit with one rocket. Reaper on the other hand is easy because he can. Unless he's got you in a tight contained space, he can't get away from you or really kill you. Defense-wise, Junk and Mei both have a strong, a really hard time hitting Pharah. Likewise, Junkrat's really good at shooting down onto people or spamming, but it's very difficult for a Junkrat to hit you with a grenade in the air. You normally have to get lucky. And Mei, unless she's a god at icicle hits, she's also going to struggle to hit you. And you avoid both their ults very well. It's very difficult for a Junkrat to kill a Pharah with Tyre, and Mei's Blizzard doesn't affect Pharah, it might as well not be there. And then we've got the two turrets, which is Bastion and Torbjorn. Again, you can force Bastion to either die or move away from, get out of his little position by firing only 2 or 3 rockets at him. And he just has to move when he die. And Torbjorn, again, you can just spam him, spam at the turret will die, you can range it really well. And sometimes you'll even pick up Torbjorn in the fray because he'll be trying to fix his turret if he doesn't got really any map awareness. So this is what I was saying earlier about Pharah being really good at getting rid of entrenched defences like the turrets, because you're really good at picking them off. Tank-wise, Reinhardt and Winston. Reinhardt, you can just stay out of camera range, so you can't die to him. You can fly over his shields, so you can get to the people behind and force Reinhardt to look up or turn around. With Winston, apart from when he jumps up into the air, when he can briefly attack you, he struggles to hit you. His shield can be a bit annoying, but not very annoying, and you don't have much threat off him, and you can put a lot of damage into him. And you're showing against basically all the supports except for Anna. Zenyatta's Discord Orb is obviously a problem, like it is with every offensive hero, but you can just destroy most supports in like 2 rockets, and they can't really retaliate. Your go into what are your weekends now. So your weekend Soldier and McCree, and these are like basically the two biggest in my opinion because they are quite quick. They can position themselves very well around you, and they can kill you very quickly out of the air because of, if they've got a good aim. If they haven't got a good aim, then you laugh at them, but that's probably, maybe not laugh at them because it means they're probably new or just not great shooters. But if they haven't got great aim, you're probably going to be okay. But if they do, they can be a real trouble, and you sometimes have to swap because of it. Likewise, kind of with wooden hands here. These are a bit easier to deal with because you should know where they are by just observing the battlefield from above, but you should never ult if you know you're in sight of a Hanzo or Widowmaker because you would die and you would not get to ult properly. And just sometimes you can just force them to kind of back off by firing into their general kind of nest and just making them not want to pop around the corner and die, but they can be a problem. Divas, I really hate Diva because she challenges you in the air, she's really hard to hit, she doesn't take a lot of damage from you, she can block your ult, she can block your rocket, she can block your E. She can kill you pretty easily as well, so she's a real problem. Roadhog's not really a problem until he hooks you, so if he hooks you out in the air or hooks you out of ult, he will one-shot you and just destroy you. So you kind of have to be mindful of being in hook range / not moving a lot when you're a Roadhog. And then support-wise, like I said, Anna can be a problem because she can snipe you, but she doesn't do as much damage as the other snipers, but she can still snipe you and sleep you out of your ult. So, synergy-wise, you're very good with anyone who can synergize with your ult, basically. So people like Zyra is really good, Winston's really good, Reinhardt's really good. Just anyone who keeps some pins so you can absolutely just destroy them with your ult is fantastic. Also, you're very strong with Mercy, because Mercy can fly up to you, thus making her safer from certain heroes, and the damage boost on Pharah is amazing. 50% extra damage on your rockets is fantastic. And she can just kind of get away from danger as well. If she's getting chased down by a Reaper, she can jump up to you in the air and she's safe. So those are, she synergizes slightly with other people as well, but they're the main ones in my opinion. So, this is going to wrap up my guide on Pharah. I hope you learned something from it. If you have anything to add, please chuck it in the comments. If you enjoyed it, please chuck me a like and maybe even subscribe if you would like to see more content from me, which will be more guides and just information about Overwatch in general with a more in-depth sort of view on it. But anyway, this has been me, Joro, and ciao guys, have a nice day.